Gal, mate, 22 years professional sport, eh? All comes to an end. How does that feel?
Oh, I think it's time, Mick. It's been I've had a great time. I mean, when I was 18 years old and I signed with the Cronulla Sharks, if you had said I'd be 41 and still fighting, I would have laughed at you. And to achieve everything I did in rugby league and now move on to boxing, I've had a fantastic time, and I don't think I could have done anything else, to be honest. So I'm really happy and satisfied with it. And there just comes a time in your life where you probably got to put other people first, particularly your family. And I'm looking forward to the rest of my life and what's next.
Go back to that time. I mean, 19-year-old, 2001, you make your debut, for the Cronulla Sharks. That fire inside you, 22 years now down the track. Is the fire out? Is that what it is?
It's not out. It's I think you realise that you just get a bit older, Mick, and you got family and kids, 4 kids. I've always been real. You probably know I'm a bit of a selfish person as far as when it comes to my sport, and you've got to be to get to the level that that we did and what we did. You have to put yourself first in front of other things, and I've done that for long enough with my wife and my kids. I've done that enough now, so I think it's time to start putting them first. And there will always be that competitive streak in me, without a doubt. It'll always be there, and I don't think that'll ever go away. And I reckon you know that more than anyone. I know you're as competitive as they come as well. So how I deal with that when I retire, I'm not too sure yet what I'll do, but I'll figure it out. As I said, there's a time where you've got to put other people first, and I'm at that stage of my life. I've got a great family. I've set myself up wonderfully outside of sport, and so I'm starting enjoying that and enjoying what I can do for other people and what I can do for my kids in particular.
You grew up in Western Sydney, and you find yourself out in Cronulla as a 19-year-old, and had a wonderful career, obviously, in the NRL. We'll get to the boxing, but how do you reflect on the NRL side of things? How do you reflect on your career?
It ended fantastically. I mean, I started off, we played semi-final football for the Sharkies, and we played in the grand final qualifier versus the Warriors when I was 21 years old in 2002. And I thought it was going to be like that year in, year out. I just thought the Cronulla Sharks I'd followed for since probably 97, where they finished first in the Super League and minor premiers, and that's the reason I joined the club. And then I just thought it was going to be like that year in, year out, but it wasn't. We hit some hard times there, and obviously the rest of my career I had some pretty tough times. It's a real roller coaster, rugby league, and probably the back end of it, thankfully, turned out the way I probably deserved it to. Winning a premiership was without doubt the greatest thing I ever did, and being able to play State of Origin was an absolute dream come true. When I was a kid in Western Sydney, I never followed any rugby league team, but I remember training at Ringrose Park at Wenning. Wednesday night, I could not wait to get home to watch State of Origin and see us with that first hit up. So to be named in the front row for New South Wales and be able to do it, mate, that was a dream come true. It was just awesome. I reflect on my rugby league career. It's just, I'd say, blessed to be able to do what I've done, and mate, I worked really hard for it. So I think I deserve what happened, and thankfully I won a premiership. I think that's what rugby league's all about, winning premierships, and that's the way it turned out, and thankfully we got it done.
You talk about Origin, and I mean, a lot of people say playing for your country is obviously the pinnacle of your game, but the most combative type of footy is Origin, and there was a fair period that you captained New South Wales through that moment in 2014. What were the emotions when you'd realised that you'd won the series as captain?
Oh, mate, there was so much. There was a fair bit of relief, to be honest. I mean, 8 years we hadn't won for. I debuted in Game 3 back in Melbourne, where Lockie scored that famous try. And my Origin career was pretty checkered, I was in and out of the side. I wasn't always consistently there. And when I was named captain, I think in 2011, we had so many close series against Queensland. We just couldn't quite get over the line. I think they just had probably the best now. Cam Smith, Jonathan Thurston, Cooper Cronk. Before that was Darren Lockyer. They had some superstars, and when the important times of the game come around, those guys will come up with a big play, and they beat us by a field goal in a couple of games, and it was really, really tough time. But we just had to stick with it, and we did. And thankfully, I was sort of the cornerstone of the side that stuck with it. And when we won in 2014, there was a lot of emotion, but I've got to be honest, relief was one of them, just to finally get it done.
You mentioned something really interesting before, and it is funny in our game because you played over 30 tests. You captained your state to Origin series victories. But it's like success in our games doomed on premierships. You know, there's so many great players, and you often hear people say, "Oh, he's a great player, but never won a premiership." That moment when you pulled the bus into Cronulla Stadium Grand Final night with the trophy in your hand, what did that mean to you?
Honestly, Mick, absolutely everything. It really did. And you know, mate, it was everything. It was everything I'd ever dreamed of doing. Probably not from the start of my career. When you're a kid, you just want to play first grade. When you play first grade, you know, it's a dream come true. But your goals, you reassess your goals over the years along the way. And yeah, I just wanted. I promised myself I had a big opportunity to leave the club a couple of times to go to Manly.
Yeah.
And one was in 07. Manly won the comp in 08. The other time was in 2010. Manly won the comp in 2011. So I'm kicking myself like when I signed at Cronulla, my big contract in I think it was 2011 up until about 2014, 15. Yeah. I promised myself, I said, mate, you're going to win a premiership here. You're going to win it. And then we hit the shit hit the fan for the next couple of years, and it didn't look like anything was going to happen, to be honest. And I said, right, you're going to be here when the club wins its first comp. If you're not a player, you're going to be here as a coach or something. And then as things started to turn around, I remember making the phone call to Wade Graham, got him to the club. Yeah. Guys like Jeremy Smith, Cade Snowden come. Then all of a sudden, I was on the tour with Luke Lewis, and he came. And then all of a sudden, we get yourself and Jimmy Maloney, and things started to look up. And yeah, we got there in 2016, which is the best thing I ever did in my career.
Yeah. What about the boxing? I mean, when did you start to have an interest for that?
I always had an interest as a kid. I really enjoyed boxing, and I lived with my dad from the time I was about 13, 14. Just me and Dad, and then Dad ended up having a mate moved in who was involved in boxing. And we used to do a fair bit of boxing in the garage, and I only ever did it for extra fitness for rugby league. So I love footy so much, and I'd go down to a gym in Marylands and do some boxing down there, and just really enjoyed it. And then one year, Ricky Stewart came to the club, so I probably did it on and off for a couple of years, but never thought I'd fight. And then Ricky Stewart came to the club in 2006 or 7, and basically said, look, boys, up until Christmas, you can go do something else, you know, on our sort of rest day, and that would just keep your mind fresh. And I went and did boxing, and the guy went and did boxing with me said, have you ever thought about fighting? And I said no, and then it wasn't until like 2011, I think, a Fight for Life card come up, which is a NRL versus rugby union over in New Zealand. And I went and did that, and I won the fight. And the next year I did it again and won the fight. And I thought, they said, you should turn pro. So I turned pro, and then the rest is history. Mate, I only ever did it to earn a couple of extra bucks in the off-season. You know, I like a couple of extra bucks. So that's what it was all about. And then, it just sort of escalated from there, and I've done a whole lot more than I thought I'd do.
Well, that's my next question. Did it surprise you, or are you surprised what you've been able to achieve and the longevity you've had in it?
It's easy to say yes, but not really, Mick. Yeah. I think when you apply yourself to anything, it doesn't matter what you do in life. When you apply yourself to something and you become obsessed with it and dedicated to it, you can do whatever you want in life. And doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're a salesman or a builder. If you work hard enough at anything, you're going to get results. That's just the way the world is. You know, no one gets anything for nothing in this life. And I was so dedicated to rugby league, and when that finished, I was so dedicated to boxing, and I've applied myself for the past 3, 4, 5 years to it, and I didn't quite get what I wanted. I really would have loved to win an Australian title, and I think had I fought some lesser boxers than I did, I mean, Justice Hunty's the next best thing in Australia, and so is Chris Terbievsky. So had I probably fought a little bit lesser fighters, I think I would have won it without a doubt, but I wasn't to be, so I didn't quite get there. But to even fight for those titles was something pretty special.
It's something that's become more popular, hasn't it? I mean, seeing footy players through the off season, or and you've probably been the big reason for that recently. Do you see yourself as as the best boxer that's played NRL?
Nah, look, it's too hard. Nah, definitely not. Mundine's like, I know a different weight division, but he's a genius, that guy. He was so good. I don't think, look, Mundine's a character that rubs some people the wrong way. I understand that, but what he achieved in boxing was phenomenal. He was outstanding. So then you got guys like Solomon Namono, even John Opawade won an Australian title. So no, it's too hard to compare eras, and I definitely don't think I'm the best one to do it. I think I'm the best one at this point in time. At this point in time where we are right now, but not ever, no.
What about the perception of you're probably polarising as an NRL player. The fans, some loved you, some hated you. I feel like that's turned, since you've, continued to show your class boxing-wise. Is that something that, deep down makes you proud that the Australian public has embraced you when there was that real divide through your rugby league career?
It's a good question. No, not really. I mean, I've never really worried about too much what other people think. I mean, you can't, as an athlete, as anyone who does who's successful at anything in life, you can't really worry about what other people think of you. I mean, there's always people who want to bring you down. There's always that tall poppy syndrome, especially in Australia. So I've never really worried too much about it, but it definitely is nicer now compared to what it was in rugby league. And I never meant to. I never tried or wanted to be the guy that people hated, but I was just so competitive. I just wanted to win everything, and I did it probably at all costs. And at the time, I overset the mark. I admit that. It wasn't until I had a conversation with Ron Massey in I can't remember what year it was, but I'll never forget going to this old bloke's house, and Ricky Stewart said, "Mate, just got whatever's going to." I was really excited to go and see this old bloke. I remember telling my dad I was going to go see. My dad was so pumped. He goes, "Mate, he's Jack Gibson's right hand man. He's the one. He's blah blah blah." And Ricky looked at me. His funny look goes, "Mate, just cop whatever's coming here." And I just was like, "Oh, okay, what's going to happen here?" I walk in, mate. He's looked 100. Yeah. He sits me down. He goes, "You are the biggest soft cock I've ever seen." And I was like, "Where's this?" Like it was great. And then it didn't relent. He kept going and going, and mate, it was crazy. And I was just like, I almost started crying. That was a defining moment in my whole career and life. I think I realised that, to be competitive and to want to win, you don't always have to do stupid things, and it probably saved my career, to be honest.
All right, so the final fight, Justin Hodges, what do you want from it?
I just want to win. I want to win, that's it. I mean, I think Hodges asked for a rematch pretty much straight away after the last fight, and No Limit knew I'd have one more fight. It was earmarked for December, but I've got things on in some family commitments. I'll be away from the 2nd of December, so I can't have that happen, obviously. So it was supposed to be November 16, but it's been pushed back to November 23. And realistically, I think a footy player is a type of player or fighter I should be fighting at the moment. I'm 41. I'm definitely past my best. I realised that probably a couple of fights ago, and. Now, Hodges
when did you realise that?
I realised it again versus Chris Tervieski. Okay. So, but as I said, I was obsessed with training for boxing, and I trained so hard for Justice Huni, and he really knocked it out of me. He was way too good. Come back for last year, then fought Chris Tervieski, and we knew he couldn't outbox him. We knew he was going to be too good a boxer, but we thought I could out-tough him and just be fitter than him. And we thought round 6, 7, 8, we'd be able to get him, and it wasn't happening then. And then round 9, all of a sudden, mate, I was all over him, and I reckon over 10, 20 seconds round 9, I'd probably knock him out and stop the fight. And I went back to the corner, and I was so excited. I remember how excited I was in the round 9. I was so pumped. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. You can do this. It's falling into place. We're going to get him round 10. And then I go for round 10, and he just ran away from me, and I just could not catch him. I couldn't get to him, and it was such a moment in my life where I had a friend of mine always tell me, you don't get old in between fights in boxing, you get old in between rounds. And that happened to me that night. I just couldn't catch him. It was like I just couldn't get to him. And it was the most frustrating, confronting moment of my entire life. Mate, it was frustrating, but it was really confronting for myself, man. Like I'm in the ring doing everything I could to get this guy, and I remember how excited I was in between the round. And I couldn't get to him, and I remember thinking to myself, mate, you're old, you're done. I remember thinking it was just really confronting to go for it. So, at the end of that fight, I publicly admitted, I said, mate, I think I'm done. So, to be having these last couple of fights against footy players, I think it's fair. This will be it.
Well, he wanted the rematch, Justin, and he gets it. Did he surprise you at all in the last fight?
Not boxing ability wise, power. He can punch. He's a big athletic guy. I understand that, but he can punch. He hurt me last fight. He did. I probably didn't go in respecting either of those opponents the way I should have, and I've learnt my lesson from that. And I'm going to go into this fight well prepared and ready to go, and respect his power and respect what he can do, and I'll get there and get the job done. Has
that changed your preparation? I mean, he was able to knock you down. Not many blokes have been able to do that. And watching some of the lead up to this, there is an air of confidence around him. He feels like that he might be able to knock you over in this last one. Has that changed your preparation?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as I said,
Yeah.
Last fight, I didn't probably respect the two of them,
Yeah.
and mate, hardly sparred, to be honest. And that's one thing I've always been really diligent about, whether it be rugby league or boxing, is my preparation. I've always prepared harder than everyone else, so mentally I can go in there very, very confident. And I went in there confident last fight. Look, at the end of the day, I did what I had to do. I won the 2 fights on the night, but not the way I wanted to. And without doubt, it's made me realise that you can't take shortcuts in this game. In particular, boxing, you can't take any shortcuts. And I've prepared differently. I've sparred a whole lot better and a whole lot more, and I'll be ready on the night.
I mean, you've often had that, that long distance approach. Happy to box and go the rounds. You want to knock him out. You want to end it early.
I think everyone does. at the end of the day, I think everyone's got the ability to, at this weight and how big and strong we all are. Everyone's got the ability. If you catch someone clean, they're in trouble. It doesn't matter who you are. But it's harder than people think. You've got to catch someone clean with a clean punch and knock them out. It's not an easy thing to do. So, I want to be able to do it. But if it doesn't happen, at the end of the day, it's about winning. That's what it's all about. About getting the win, getting home safe to the family, and hopefully him too. And just enjoying my last time in the limelight.
Is it though? I mean, you continued to push on when people doubted you rugby league wise, and continued to produce. And in boxing, you've had moments where everyone said, "Oh, this will be his last fight." Is it your last fight? Is this it?
Look, mate, I never say never, but
Okay.
no, I never. I think it is. Yeah. I mean, I know rugby league, right? My last year rugby league, I used to love contact and wrestling at training. So I loved doing it, and I didn't want to do it anymore at training. And I found by the back end of the year that year, guys that you would normally be able to work out and just outwork them become hard to handle at the back end of the game. And that was because I wasn't putting the work in. I said earlier, unless you put the work into anything, you don't get the results. And I found that in my last year rugby league, it didn't matter how old I was, I wasn't putting the work into training. Therefore, it wasn't happening for me on the field. And that's where I'm at with boxing. I don't want to spar anymore. I'm happy to do the bag and pad work. I'm happy to run. I'm happy to do I love pushing myself fitness-wise, but I don't want to spar anymore. And I'm not naturally gifted enough or talented enough at boxing to be able to just walk in and fight someone. I can't do that. Now, there's probably not many people in the world that can do that. So unless you can spar hard and train and prepare well, you can't get in there and do it. It's just too dangerous. And I don't want to spar anymore. So I think, I'm pretty sure this will be it.
Mate, you've been an absolute warrior as a player, an absolute warrior in the ring. I'm glad the Australian public's been able to see the Paul Gallen that I got to know as a teammate, and I wish you all the best, mate. And in this last fight, you've been outstanding, mate, in everything that you've done, and I know you will be in this last one.
Thanks, Mick.
Congratulations,
Appreciate your time.
mate. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.